So again, my floor to my shed is going to be 10 foot by 12. These are 2x6s that are 12 feet long. So on the ends, I'm going to have 10 footers. So I just kept the 12 footers because I could use the spare for something else. So I'll cut 2 of these at 10 foot because I'm going to have 12 footers coming out from here, and then 16 inches on center be coming out from here. Now if you notice on this tape measure, these tape measures are pretty cool in the sense that, let's see if you can see this in the sun here. See the red there tells me it's 16 on center. Well, a 2x6 is actually 1 3/4 thick, so you go 1 1/2 thick, sorry. So you go 3/4 on each side, and it should fit right between those 2 marks that I made. Now sometimes you can just say, okay, well let's just go with the 16 mark and just put a center mark, and you can do that too. And what I did was I went down all the way down and I marked each one. Now what's interesting is on 16 on center, when you come down here to the 10 foot piece, here's what you have. That would be 16 on center, but yet we've only got a few more inches to go because it's 120 inches to the end, not 112. Where's the 112? So I went ahead and I did the mark. So what I'll do is I'll actually have a piece, a 2x6 there, and I'll have one there, just to stay consistent with that with the 16 on center. Because what's also going to happen is I'll have on my plywood, it will come up 8 feet this way on my plywood, and then the last 2 feet will have a marking. And so with the last 2 feet of marking, it's important then that, see, 2 feet happens to be right there. So by also putting another mark there at that 8-inch mark, that just gives it additional support for a short piece. Now maybe what I could do is just center this one here between these 2 markings. That might be a smarter thing to do for that piece, and I may change that once I put it on there, but right now that's my marking. I'm going to do another 10 footer just like this with the exact same markings. These are going to be my 2 end pieces, and that way my 12 footers, I'll cut 3 inches off of each 12 footer, and that way I can maintain the dimension of 12 feet so the plywood will rest on it perfectly. I'm measuring these cuts for these 10 foot lengths. I'm taking the 12 footer, go 24 inches, and then I'm using this square. It's an adjustable square, and just lining it up and then just making my mark right down with my pencil. Some people use a different type of square, but the key is just to get a straight line. What I think I'm going to do is, this is the 2x10, which is the end pieces that the 2x12s will rest on or butt up against. And I think I'm going to use these hangers and put these hangers in place here. And I drew some lines because, as you can see, the hanger is open wide. That's just because of the way it's made. I got these lines drawn using the square so I can square that up and nail it on there, and then the 2x12s will just rest right in there. And since I'm working alone, that I think is going to help me set some things up before I really start nailing it together. Obviously on the ends I can't use them because, you know, no way that's going to work there on the end, you know. That ain't going to work. But I'll do something like that on there. I'll do it on both of the ends, and that should help hold it in place while I go through and nail the 2x12s in place. So there's the floor joist, and I'm putting in the braces now. That's what that stack is, and some more there. So let's take a look at some of this. I doubled up this joist here. Reason being is because I'm going to have the 4x8 sheets of plywood. We'll run this way, and then I'll just have 3 of them running the same way. And then I'll have a 2-foot one going here to 8 feet, and then one down there, just a little one. So these blocks that I have are the braces. That's to give the floor additional stability. This thing is perfectly straight. Believe it or not, when I got done with the joist, I went through and I straightened it, and I was a 1/4 inch off. Started putting in some of the joist. Now I remained a 1/4 inch off. Actually, I think I'm right on now because I readjusted it just before this video. But anyhow, still being 1/4 inch off, I'm cool with that. And once I get the plywood on, I'll be able to completely straighten it. So I'm going to continue with this. You can see, like over here, I use those floor joists I was showing you earlier. But obviously, when you have a double joist like this, there's a different type of joist hanger that I could have used. I just didn't have one available. Now, I also put here on the angle, they have different brackets for this. I didn't have any, so I just used those just to help make it a little bit more stable. Now, on this joist here, this double joist, I did these 2 braces first because if you notice, when you do these braces, you're going to, on this end here, you're going to put a couple of nails. Well, you've got room to swing your hammer right here. But here, you don't. So what I did was I put the joist, this joist in first, and nailed that guy together. Then on this joist here, I nailed that guy already to that joist before I put it in, and I slid it right in. So he was already nailed. And then I nailed these 2 joists together as well. And then over here, I don't have room to swing a hammer down below. So I didn't have any more joist hangers like this one. So I just used one of those L brackets and use another one down there. I don't want to run down to Home Depot because that's like 40 miles, it's like 80 miles round trip, and when you're off grid like this, that's a waste of time and money when you got other things you can utilize. Just got to make things work when you're off grid. I also threw in nails, so even though I had the joist hangers, I also threw in a couple of nails on the sides. These nails I used were 8D 2.5. The screws I use, or the nails that I use for the joist hangers, are, well, it doesn't show in this box here. They're Simpson nails. Here are those nails that I used on the joist hangers. They're kind of meant for the hangers. So let me finish putting in those braces so I can throw the floor on. But Jeff, on these braces, how do I know where to put them? Well, you don't. You just make it up as you go. For an example, right here, what I did was I measured between this 4x4 and that 4x4, knowing that as things settle, it's going to rest on those 4x4s. So in a sense, I kind of have stability there, and I have a brace already here on the side. So I actually went in the center of these 2 pieces here, of the 2 4x4s, and I put that center line right on the edge, like on the edge of here, then the edge of there, and they'll just alter all the way down. So that's how I did these joists, or not, that's how I did the braces. I did the same thing with this guy here. and the same thing on the other side. When you go to do these, you kind of want to try to balance the spacing. So, you know, this is 12 feet wide. So basically, if you're going to have, what, 1, 2, 3, 4 gaps, in a sense what you want to have is almost just shy of 4 feet, 4 feet, 4 feet, etc. And that way you've got some balance on your bracing. This will help do the floor when you go to put the subfloor on. Normally don't nail into this guy here. I may nail into him, I may not. Kind of depends on if I feel like there's one there or not as I lay it down, because you can't see them. And this completes this segment of the garden shed, the floor segment. It's done. So I have got 2x6s, 12 feet. I just bought them all the same length. 10x12 shed. I used 14 of them, including the braces in the middle. 4 sheets of plywood. And I had 1/4 of a sheet left. Now some of you are going to say sheets should be going in an interlock way. Well, I didn't want to do an interlock. And I know I said earlier plywood. And I know some of you are going to say, well, hey, Jeff AZ Hot Homestead, you radical dude living in an RV off-grid. That's not plywood, you crazy fool, that's OSB. Well, you know what? To me, it's a sheet of wood. I don't care if it's glued together, as long as it's not that particle stuff, you know, the sawdust they mix with glue. That stuff's worthless. But this, I find, is just as good. And as long as you keep it dry, it works just fine. OSB, plywood, to me that's one and the same. But when I want to go cheap, I go this. And you know what? I call it whatever I want. I call it plywood. So this completes the floor segment. Stay tuned for the walls and the roof. Arizona Hot Homestead. Living in an RV, a travel trailer, 30-footer, off-grid.